Hey, Pavy, thank you so much for joining us in this Orca social chat. How are you today?
Thank you, Ben. I'm just fine. Thanks for inviting me.
For a variety of different reasons, we at Orca Social strongly believe that for the operations of each B2B company, social technologies are key. Now, before we go into why this is the case for your company as well, would you mind quickly introducing yourself and your company?
Well, hi, I'm Päivi, and at Nokia I've held various marketing communications and marketing roles, and currently I'm heading the corporate social media team at Nokia. Today, Nokia is a global leader in technologies that connect people and things, and we have a powerhouse of innovation with Nokia Bell Labs and Nokia Technologies, and we're at the forefront of creating and licensing the technologies that are at the heart of our connected lives. And not only that, I think we're also uniquely positioned to deliver the promise of 5G, the cloud, and the Internet of Things. We have a broad portfolio of state-of-the-art software, hardware, and global services for any type of network out there. We have 2.2 million followers on Twitter and 13 million earned followers on Facebook, and that's pretty awesome. 140,000 people on Instagram, 500,000 followers on LinkedIn, and 30,000 people on Periscope, and growing. And these were just the brand channels.
So how do you use social channels to actually change the world's perception around the Nokia brand?
Every channel is a touch point with our brand, and the brand is the relationship people have built with us over time with each moment we share together. And it's good to understand that today for Nokia, our audiences vary from consumers to service providers to governments and large enterprises. So for us, social media, it's not just about broadcasting what we're into. It's about the discussions and a sense of community with a wide variety of audiences. Personas help us to understand how our audiences communicate and what are their motivations for using social media. They might not understand or use the same expressions that we do, but I do believe that with the right approach, we can get them interested and better yet, invested in today's Nokia. We have an objective statement for Nokia social media, kind of what do we aim to do? And the joint objective is to drive thought leadership and customer engagement with quality content. And quality content is really key. We want to activate current and future followers and transform them into advocates. So that's where we have some of our earlier followers, where we want to activate and transform into advocates by covering the topics and conversations and channels that they care about the most.
Obviously, you do have a written down strategy, and I also know that you do because you told me that over the last weeks and month you were working on a strategy, a social media strategy for Nokia. Now, would you mind telling us a little bit how you tackled a task like this that for many B2B companies seems to be highly complex?
We analyzed and described Nokia's current and future social audiences, how they behave and engage, what they expect, and then we wanted to describe our current and future state of the social media ecosystem. We interviewed our leadership team for insights about their business. We worked hand in glove with our brand team to make sure that we reflect the essence of our brand in the right way while we engage. We interviewed our social media audiences. And then, of course, with the team and with the agents, we workshopped and discussed. We had a lot of iterations, also with business owners. And at the end of this now, I'm quite proud to say that we have now published a social media playbook and style guide. And there we describe the role of social media in our communications and offer guidelines of how to start and join and enhance the conversations that matter most for our followers. A really fundamental building block of our social media strategy is also our blog. And that's important for our experts and executives so that they can engage with the audiences and drive the industry conversation.
Let's get maybe from the strategy level a little bit more down to the operational level. So I follow loads of B2B brands out there, and I saw one campaign that kind of like got my attention from Nokia, where I saw that you were doing a public survey asking people for what kind of content they would like to see on social. So could you give us a little bit more of details around that, and maybe also the results of that survey, how that played out for you?
We thought it would be a very personal way to have a real person ask you, well, what do you think? We wanted to address and activate our fans. And, shooting a video and posting it through our social media channels was actually quite an easy thing to do. And that really gave us valuable feedback of the content and the topics our fans would like to see posted. The video was up only for a relatively short time, but it was quite well received. We got close to 7,000 views on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And as a result, we received hundreds of answers then for the various channels, which we then analyzed for our strategy input.
So actually that on Twitter, you used the polling capability quite a bit with a hashtag #YourSay. Can you give us more details around that as well?
With that, we want to listen to what people want, and we promote the content they'd like to see and engage in the conversations they care about and respond to their questions and concerns. And then when we do that, when we do it with the #YourSay, and if we do it well, I trust that we can influence the potential buyers long before they're ready to purchase. So this is, let's say, one part of the many building blocks and engagements we do in social media.
Are you able in any way to track social activities back to sales performance as well?
Many social media marketers know that 45% of buyers view 3 to 5 pieces of content before engaging with a salesperson. And that's why I personally believe also that it's really important to have an integrated view to marketing communications and to lead generation, and then to be able to tie back then the social activities also to actual sales figures. So we are doing that, and we're working closely with our marketing campaign teams so that social media is seen as an inherent part of ongoing campaigns, where social media can help find new audiences for new business segments, and we can help generate preference and advocacy. And to do that, then we need to utilize paid, owned, and earned channels, and that's, I think, where we're fortunate because we have the advantage of having already a rather large earned audience base to engage with. And despite the fact that the volume of the social media traffic has really increased exponentially in the past year or so, we're quite proud that Nokia continued to rank as one of the most influential brands at Mobile World Congress also this year. So we hope to keep up that positive trend and then also show how we can tie back our activities in social back to actual sales figures and happy customers.
Now, I heard recently at the social media conference in Berlin, for example, that the biggest trends in social for brands as well are actually everything around user-generated content, virtual reality, and live streaming. Are you doing anything in those areas already?
I'm personally very grateful not only to many Nokia employees who are acting as brand ambassadors, but also to customers and some of our visitors who share great content at various industry and customer events. So much of our content is based on user-generated content that way. As far as virtual reality is concerned, well, that's exciting. Our goal at Nokia is to make the complex technology easy to use for the world's most creative people. And we have the Orca camera. We've already brought audiences to Pink Performance, where there was this red carpet premiere, Alice Through the Looking Glass. We've also delivered fans on stage at the Austin City Limits Music Festival. And most recently, we teamed up with the Universal Music Group, Interscope Records, and One Republic, where we brought fans to a fully immersive virtual reality experience of one of the band's new single, which is called Kids. And there's more in store, so if you're interested, why don't you take a look at ozo.nokia.com.
Now, one more question, getting down even further onto the operational side, would be around technology. If you have so many channels, so many audiences and users to manage, reply to, and engage with, what kind of technology footprint do you use to manage all of this internally?
Right now, we're onboarding Hootsuite, with some additional applications. And we are integrated that with Marketo marketing automation platform. In addition, we have several internal messaging and sharing platforms like Yammer and Jabber, SharePoint, and so forth. And having the technology is really an important enabler, and you cannot do without it. But I really think that equally important then is to have the right mindset and build the needed organizational capabilities. If you want to have a shift change and the business impact, yes, you need the technologies, but equally important then is to build then the enabling and training packages internally to your own marketeers and employees.
Can you give us a little bit of an insight of how big is your team and how do you split the workload amongst the Nokia social media team in your group?
Despite the size of our company, we have an extremely small but enterprising and very passionate team in the corporate social media. There we manage our brand channels, the enablement and analytics, and then we coach the other channel owners. And the other channel owners are typically in other marketing or communications teams within the company. What's really important that first of all, you need a common goal and you need the leadership endorsement to make that work. And when that is in place, then it's easier then to function. Our corporate team organizes social media council meetings with tens of people, which represent then our business groups and different functions regularly. And it's in this wider team that we then share the best practices of social media, the look what we did in the past and what's coming forward. And we do have also an agency which supports us on a as needed basis. What is also key that we have a very systematic approach of sharing on a daily basis Go Social snippets in our internal social media channels so that we consistently leverage the strength of our employees and the whole company. And that's something you need to do really persistently and relentlessly so that you gain the results. It takes a village, but it also pays off.
Now, to wrap it up, Päivi, if you had to give one single piece of advice to a B2B company that still isn't convinced that social is the way to go and it needs to be a part of their communication mix and their way of thinking, really, for the 21st century, what kind of advice would you give them?
Maybe don't try to be everything to everybody. Look at your company's business strategy and then find what your hotspot or niche is. And then you have to work on achieving new followers by finding what they want to learn and then provide that value. And social media is all about networking. And I think that you will get some of the best advice from your peers. So go forward with confidence. And I look forward to engaging with you in social media.
Excellent. In case people do want to engage, where can they best find you, Päivi?
They can find Nokia on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Periscope. We just put /Nokia. And I'm on Twitter at Kalske, Kalske.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Päivi, for your time and for all the details you shared with us. I think it's impressive to see how simple kind of a social media strategy can be explained in sort of like 10 minutes or a little bit over for such a massive brand like Nokia, right? And I hope that exactly this will make others think, okay, if Nokia can do that, we can do that. So thank you very much for that. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Ben.